Have you seen Nicki Minaj losing her mind?
Nicki Minaj just set the internet on fire. She accused Jay-Z of owing her $200 million, threw out claims calling him a child predator, hinted at ties to some extremely dangerous men, and then, boom, Roc Nation fired back with a $5 billion cease and desist. On top of all that, she flipped from publicly criticizing Trump to suddenly acting like his biggest supporter. So how did this go from music partners to full-blown enemies? To really grasp how wild this situation is, we gotta rewind the tape real quick. Back around 2010, Nicki and Jay were actually cool, like genuinely locked in. Nicki completely dominated her verse on Kanye West's Monster. Yeah, that verse, the one that had everybody talking and instantly pushed her into a whole new league. She was sharing stages with Jay-Z at massive events, performing at his home-and-home concert with Eminem at Yankee Stadium, and even popped up at the 2012 BET Awards rocking with the whole crew. And get this, Nicki herself openly said Jay-Z was one of her biggest inspirations. When people asked her about it, she didn't hesitate to give him props.
You've also said that Jay-Z, Foxy Brown, and Lil Wayne were some of your biggest influences when you were coming up. What did each of them have that you wanted to emulate?
Jay-Z, business savvy. Foxy Brown, immaculate delivery. Lil Wayne, trendsetter.
At that point, Nicki was really studying this man, watching how he moved, learning how to turn rap fame into real power in the industry. But here's the catch with putting someone on a pedestal. When they fall, it hits way harder. And what most people don't realize is that before Nicki blew up, every major label turned her down. And when she said every label, she meant every single one. Nicki even spoke about that moment herself, breaking down how close she was to being overlooked completely.
Every label passed up on me. Every record company passed up on me. Every crew, you know, like I'm from New York. Jay's crew and 50's crew didn't sign me. You know, I wasn't signed to Nas, and you know, I wasn't signed to anybody, you know?
So right from the jump, there was already a certain feeling Nicki had about not getting real backing from the New York legends. Being ignored by the very people who ran her city clearly didn't sit right with her, and that feeling stuck. Instead of getting love at home, she had to take a whole different route just to be seen. That's when she linked up with Lil Wayne and the Cash Money crew down in New Orleans. That move finally opened the door for her career. But let's be real, getting overlooked by your own city's royalty leaves a mark. That kind of disappointment doesn't fade fast, it just sits there quietly building over time, fam. Now this is where the tension really starts heating up, because this part is all about money and power. In 2015, Jay-Z launched Tidal, remember that big streaming rollout? Nicki Minaj was announced as one of the artist partners, with reports saying she held about a 3% equity stake in the company. She was front and center at that iconic launch, standing next to Jay-Z, Beyonce, Madonna, Daft Punk, Kanye, and other major heavyweights. They were shoulder to shoulder, smiling for cameras, talking big about changing the streaming game, and finally making sure artists got paid fairly. Everything looks solid on the surface. But here's where things get messy. According to Nicki, she pushed Tidal hard, second only to Beyonce, yet claims she was never properly paid for that work. Fast forward to 2021, Jay-Z sells Tidal to Square, Jack Dorsey's company, for about $302 million. And what did Nicki say she got out of it? According to her, just a phone call offering $1 million to wrap everything up, with claims the deal made no real profit. She flat out called it a scam, saying it felt like hush money meant to silence her, and she wasn't going for that at all. Now let's look at what people inside the industry had to say about this whole Tidal situation.
Have you seen Nicki Minaj losing her fucking mind?
She's beefed with every female artist.
Now, I ain't gonna lie, her beef with Jay-Z is personal because there's money involved.
Yeah.
So
that's different.
And we haven't heard too many people talk out about it, but apparently, like, what Nicki is a legend is that Jay-Z owes her tens of millions of dollars simply because when she had that exclusive deal with Tidal, I don't know if you remember that, when Jay-Z was coming out, it was like 2015 or some shit. Jay-Z was coming out with Madonna and Daft Punk and all the biggest artists, Beyonce, Kanye, everybody was elbow to elbow, walking out, talking about we're fighting these streaming services, we're gonna create our own platform, we're gonna pay our artists more. Tidal flopped, respectfully. He sold Tidal, but he probably, allegedly, all those artists were promised a stake in the company. I'm not too sure what the stake was. I think it was like a 3%.
But that's a lot.
That's a lot,
Yeah.
right? That's a lot, especially when you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, you know what I'm saying? 3% of $1 billion is what? I don't like 30 million or some shit like that. About 3%, I'm crashing out too.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like, I ain't mad at her crashing out on Hov. That's
So when you really break this down, the math starts looking crazy. If Nicki actually held a 3% stake in something that sold for $302 million, that's roughly $9 million or more right there. And if the early valuation really touched $1 billion, like some people were saying back then, now you're talking about $30 million on the table. No wonder she's heated. Anybody would be mad seeing numbers like that slip away. By July 2025, Nicki reportedly turned the pressure all the way up. She pushed her demands into the $100 to $200 million range, calling it a karmic debt that needed to be paid. She even said part of that money would go toward helping her supporters, funding education and opportunities for people coming up in the game. In her mind, this wasn't just about her pockets. She felt like Jay-Z was hurting the Barbs too. And if you thought the Tidal situation alone was enough to set her off, nah, it didn't stop there. Things really blew up in September 2024 when the NFL announced Kendrick Lamar as the performer for the 2025 Super Bowl halftime show produced by Rock Nation. That announcement did not sit well with Nicki at all. Nicki felt like her mentor Lil Wayne should have gotten that spot, period. The Super Bowl was happening in New Orleans, Wayne's hometown, and in her eyes, there was no excuse for the South's biggest legend not to be on that stage representing his city. She jumped online and went straight at Jay-Z, accusing him of blocking Wayne due to personal issues. She claimed Jay-Z's long-standing issues with Birdman, Drake, and herself were being taken out on Lil Wayne. That's when people realized this situation had gone way past streaming money. This was personal. Ego, control, industry politics, awards drama, and conspiracy talk all rolled into one big mess. So by 2025, Nicki wasn't just aiming at Jay-Z anymore. She widened her scope and started targeting the entire Rock Nation machine. When a lawsuit involving Megan Thee Stallion and Rock Nation was allowed to move forward, filed by Megan's former cameraman Emilio Garcia and alleging discrimination and a hostile work environment, Nicki treated that moment like proof backing her long-running claims. She immediately used it as fuel. Nicki mocked Megan, referenced her diss track Bigfoot, and went straight at Rock Nation CEO Desiree Perez, calling her Dara, while bringing up the Trump pardon she received back in 2021. Nicki also accused Rock Nation of using bots to sway online conversations, freezing out artists who don't play along, and, in her words, damaging hip-hop, basketball, and football culture. Things didn't stop there. Nicki began listing artist after artist she claims Jay-Z has had conflicts with over the years. She named Nas, DMX, Jazz-O, Tupac, Future, Bobby Shmurda, Mobb Deep, LL Cool J, Drake, Lil Wayne, Birdman, Meek Mill, Rihanna, and Dipset. That's a long list, and it definitely raised eyebrows across the industry. Then in October 2025, Nicki dropped a statement that stunned everyone. She announced she was scrapping her planned 2026 album and hinted she might retire from music altogether, placing the blame directly on Jay-Z. She posted, "Okay, I'm not going to put out the album anymore. No more music. Hope you're happy now. Bye, Barbs." Now, most people took that post cautiously, since artists talk retirement all the time. But the fact that Nicki was willing to publicly put her entire career on the line just to make a point showed how deep this conflict really runs. This wasn't promo, this wasn't trolling. This felt personal, emotional, and far from over. Now let's get to the moment that truly blew the lid off everything. The 2026 Grammy Awards on February 1st, 2026. The show went down at the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, with Trevor Noah hosting for his 6th and final time. During his opening monologue, he decided to crack jokes about celebrities who didn't show up, and Nicki Minaj was one of the names he mentioned.
Nicki Minaj is not here. She is not here. She is still at the White House with Donald Trump discussing very important issues. Actually, Nicki, I have the biggest ass. I have it. Everybody's saying it, Nicki. I know they say it's you, but it's me. Wop, wop, wop. Look at it. Look at it, baby.
When that joke landed, the crowd reacted big. Cameras caught Chrissy Teigen giving a thumbs up, and the arena filled with cheers. To a lot of viewers, it looked like people were celebrating Nicki's absence, and that's when things spiraled fast. Nicki jumped on X, formerly Twitter, and what followed turned into one of the most explosive celebrity meltdowns social media had seen in a long time. Nicki went on a non-stop posting spree, mixing spiritual warnings, conspiracy-style talk, and sharp personal shots. She kicked things off by calling the Grammys a ritual, posting, "As they do their ritual tonight, God Almighty will reveal himself to them. The ritual will backfire on them. God will not be mocked." After that, she aimed directly at Trevor Noah, making aggressive claims about his personal life that immediately sparked backlash and criticism. She didn't stop there. She also took aim at Chrissy Teigen with unverified allegations and then dragged Lizzo into the chaos with harsh body-related insults that had nothing to do with the situation at all. But things took an even darker turn when Nicki began reposting old images involving Jay-Z and Aaliyah, implying wrongdoing without making clear claims, which set off alarms online. Many people quickly pointed out how serious and sensitive that territory is, especially when it comes to speculation and interpretation. At that point, it was clear this wasn't just anger anymore. It was a full emotional eruption, and the internet was watching every post in real time as the situation spun completely out of control. She captioned the photos by pointing out that Aaliyah was underage at the time, then accused Jay-Z of being a child predator, which immediately crossed into extremely serious territory. She didn't stop there. Nicki expanded her claims to the entire industry, suggesting that powerful figures were involved in dark practices to gain and keep control. She posted messages implying that children were being exploited as part of a larger system of power, tying it all into politics and warning people about who they support. Nicki framed it as a massive conspiracy, saying people were blind to what was really going on. She claimed the industry was tied to secret rituals and hidden agendas, insisting the jig is up and that the truth was finally coming out. These posts spread fast and shocked even longtime fans because of how intense and wide-ranging the accusations were. Now, to be clear and fair, the specific claims involving Jay-Z and Aaliyah were quickly fact-checked. Aaliyah was born in 1979, and any publicly documented interactions between her and Jay-Z occurred when both were adults. The well-known underage situation involving Aaliyah was connected to R. Kelly, not Jay-Z, and that distinction matters. On top of that, a photo Nicki shared involving Beyoncé was later shown to be cropped from a Destiny's Child group image and taken out of context. Social media users also pointed out contradictions. Many highlighted that Nicki was making explosive claims while her own brother, Jelani Mirage, is serving a life sentence for crimes involving a minor, and her husband, Kenneth Petty, has a past conviction that keeps him on the registry. One user summed it up by saying these were serious accusations without solid proof, while another said the timeline simply didn't add up. And here's where the story takes an even stranger turn. To understand where Nicki's headspace might be right now, you have to look at her political shift, because she wasn't always aligned the way she is today. Back in 2010, her views looked very different, and that transformation plays a huge role in how all of this unfolded. Back in 2016, Nicki was openly calling out Trump's misogyny in an MTV documentary. She didn't hold back either. She took shots at both him and Melania during a live concert. Her song Black Barbies even had that sharp line, "Island Girl, Donald Trump want me go home," a clear jab at his anti-immigrant talk at the time. Then in 2018, when families were being separated at the border, Nicki spoke from a personal place. She posted on Facebook, "I came to this country as an illegal immigrant at 5 years old. I can't imagine the horror of being in a strange place and having my parents stripped away from me at the age of 5. This is so scary to me. Please stop this." That message hit hard and showed where her heart was back then. But fast forward to 2025 and 2026, and it was a complete 180. Bam! Nicki started popping up at conservative events like Turning Point USA's America Fest, openly praising Trump, calling him handsome, and even labeling herself his #1 fan. That switch shocked a lot of people who remembered her earlier stance. She didn't stop there. Nicki appeared at a White House event where Trump was promoting something called Trump Accounts, and she publicly pledged hundreds of thousands of dollars to support the initiative. Cameras caught her speaking passionately at the event, and the internet had plenty to say about it.
I don't know what to say, but I will say that I am probably the president's #1 fan. And that's not going to change. And the hate or what people have to say, it does not affect me at all. It actually motivates me to support him more. And it's gonna motivate all of us to support him more. We're not going to let them get away with bullying him and, the smear campaigns. It's not going to work, okay? He has a lot of force behind him, and God is protecting him. Amen.
She also received a Trump Gold Card, which reportedly offers fast-tracked residency and citizenship benefits. Some people speculated this move might connect to the fact that Nicki, despite living in the U.S. since childhood, is not officially a citizen. Others pointed out that with her husband's legal history, having extra protection could be useful. The backlash came fast. By the time Turning Point USA's America Fest rolled around in December 2025, Nicki fully addressed the criticism.
Why now have you been involved with speaking about politics? What was kind of the turning point for you? Yes.
What was the turning point?
Well, I just got tired of being pushed around. Yeah.
She spoke openly about her political shift, explaining what pushed her to this place and why she felt justified in her transformation, and that only added more fuel to the ongoing controversy.
Sometimes you just get tired of it, and then you realize, wait a minute, I have something inside of me that's stronger than what's out there. That's right. So when you've had enough, you realize, wait a minute, why do I even care about these people and what they think? Who are they? They don't even know who they are. So I'm not going to back down anymore. I'm not going to back down ever again.
Amen.
She didn't stop with industry figures either. Nicki also went after California Governor Gavin Newsom, calling him Gabby Poo, while tearing into his leadership and policies with zero filter. That move instantly got political commentators fired up and added even more heat to her public image. What really made people do a double take was when Nicki began reposting anti-trans messaging that originated from White House-linked accounts. For someone whose fan base has long included strong LGBTQ+ support, this felt like a sharp and confusing turn. The fallout was heavy. Reports started circulating that Nicki lost millions of followers, with fans uploading videos of themselves trashing merch and publicly saying they were done supporting her. Many said it felt like a betrayal of the communities that helped lift her career in the first place. Actor Billy Porter even spoke out publicly, making it clear he wanted no association with Nicki or that political shift. Even her long-running rivalry with Cardi B picked up a political edge. Cardi openly called Nicki's Trump support embarrassing, and when Nicki was asked about the industry backlash during America Fest, her response was blunt and unapologetic, exactly what people expected from her. And the Jay-Z situation wasn't the only controversy surrounding Nicki. After journalist Don Lemon was arrested during an anti-ICE protest at a church, Nicki went online mocking the situation and celebrating the arrest. When people criticized her language and tone, she brushed it off instead of walking it back. Some online users even speculated that her new political connections played a role, though that was never proven. Her tension with Megan Thee Stallion also kept simmering. After releasing the diss track Bigfoot in 2024, which many criticized for crossing lines, Nicki continued throwing public jabs. When the lawsuit involving Megan and Roc Nation was allowed to move forward, Nicki jumped online celebrating and making references to Megan's Law, keeping the feud loud and very much alive. So where does all of this really leave us? What's the actual truth behind all this chaos? There are a few different ways to look at this situation, and none of them are simple. On one side, Nicki's Tidal complaints aren't totally out of nowhere. If she truly was promised equity, promoted the platform nonstop, and then got offered a small slice after the company sold, that's a real issue. The music industry has a long, ugly history of artists getting shorted on business deals. That's not new, and Nicki wouldn't be the first big name to feel played behind closed doors. Add in the Super Bowl situation, and some people see her point there too. Lil Wayne is a New Orleans icon, and having the halftime show in his hometown without him did feel like a missed moment to a lot of fans. But then there's the other side of this, and that's where things start falling apart for many people. The extreme accusations, especially anything involving harm to minors or secret rituals, are serious claims that require serious proof. When those statements didn't line up with timelines or verified facts, fact checkers move fast, and that's where Nicki lost credibility with a lot of folks. There's also the hypocrisy argument that critics keep bringing up, and it's the part nobody wants to ignore. How do you accuse powerful figures of being around predators when your own inner circle has documented convictions related to similar crimes? That contradiction is the elephant in the room, and Nicki has never fully addressed it head on. What makes this whole situation even more interesting is the silence on the other side. Jay-Z hasn't said a single word publicly. No interviews, no posts, no statements. The only sign that his camp is responding at all is that reported cease and desist warning tied to $5 billion in potential defamation damages. Outside of that, it's been total radio silence. And sometimes silence speaks louder than anything else. And honestly, that silence might be the smartest move of all. Why even jump in when the other side is making claims without solid proof and slowly pushing parts of their own fan base away? Sometimes saying nothing speaks louder than any response ever could. So the real question now is this: what happens to Nicki Minaj's legacy? Because let's be real, she's undeniably one of the most influential female rappers of all time. The records she shattered, the barriers she broke, the lanes she opened for women in rap, fashion, and pop culture, all of that is real and fully documented. Nobody can erase that. But the last few years have been chaotic, no way around it. The canceled album, the retirement talk, the political flip, the non-stop controversies, and the conspiracy-heavy posts, it's been a lot for fans and critics alike to process. When she was asked at AmericaFest what kind of legacy she wants to leave behind, Nicki gave an answer that showed how strongly she feels about her choices, whether people agree with them or not. So there you have it.
Well, that it's okay to change your mind. Yeah. It's okay to change your mind. You don't have to, sometimes there's a lot of things projected onto you when you change your own mind. They project fear, shame onto people who don't think and do as they think and do.
That's the full breakdown of the Nicki Minaj versus Jay-Z saga.
But I've traveled the world. I've performed for huge crowds all around the world. And no matter how many songs I do on that stage, it didn't mean as much as this. Because this is a direct link for younger people. This is a direct link between young people and God. And there's been a lack of that. There's been a lack of that.
From early collaborations to the Tidal fallout to the Grammys meltdown and all the way to her political transformation, the timeline is messy, emotional, and still unfolding. Is Nicki exposing real industry corruption that people are afraid to address? Or is she spiraling under pressure and creating narratives to explain a shift in her relevance? Is Jay-Z quietly pulling strings behind the scenes, or is his silence simply strategic? These questions might never get clear answers, but one thing is obvious: this story is far from over. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment your thoughts below. Let us know where you stand on this. Whose side are you on and why? Check out our other videos on screen right now for more deep dives, and we'll catch you in the next one.